So it's April 23rd. This is my second recording today. I don't know if I uploaded the first one or not. It wasn't very inspiring. Anyway, this is Darcy's Corner, and I'm going to show you my sophisticated level of editing. Okay? This is the best I can do for right now. So let's talk about the trans agenda. Let's talk about why. If you want to ask why are we trans, there is no why. But if you want to ask why are we teaching your children what trans is, well, it's because nobody taught us when we were children what trans was. And you'll hear people make excuses like, halfway through making that recording, my screen froze. And then it unfroze and it kept recording. But even though my audio stays the same, now my audio and my lip movement and my hand movements are all out of sync by like 5 seconds, and it's infuriating to try and watch. But basically, when I was recording, the brainwave that hit me, and I want to put these things on TikTok because I want to be part of the TikTok conversation. Because I like what they're talking about on there, and some of it is quite helpful and useful. But I imagine a lot of what they're talking on there is also horrible and hateful. It's just that the algorithm I'm at on there just puts me towards other pro-trans things, which does make you wonder how effective a communication tool it is. Because if we're always stuck in our bubble, sure, we're preaching to each other things that we agree about, but how do you get to the other side? But I've heard many people say that it's not necessarily about convincing the other side. If you're a transphobe, a homophobe, if you're a devout racist, like, I'm not going to convince you. I'm not going to convince J.K. Rowling or Posey Parker or any of these other people that I'm a valid person who deserves to live. No, as far as they're concerned, I'm just a rapist and I deserve to spend the rest of my life dead or in prison. They don't care which, really. Either one's fine. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. When it comes to the trans agenda, yeah, there is no why in terms of why are we trans. We don't know why we're trans. There's probably reasons. There's probably biological, medical reasons why the trans phenomenon exists. Same as there's biological reasons why the intersex phenomenon exists. There's biological reasons why we have blue eyes. It's the same thing. Like, why do I have blue eyes? It doesn't really matter why I have them. Why am I trans? It doesn't matter. I am. But as a child, none of this was explained to me. It wasn't explained to my parents or my grandparents either. And it should have been. Somebody should have told them the difference between gender and sex. That should be part of our education from the time we are... before we can crawl. Yep, absolutely. And you can't make me be gay. You can't make me be straight. You can't make me be trans or cis. Well, we didn't have the term cis before. No, we didn't. That was the problem. We should have had that term before. Because we've always been around. Our existence isn't new. The language to describe our existence is new. And as technology gets better, we realize that even though we are alone in our individual situations, like, I'm very much alone, but I know that I'm not alone in terms of my existence. I know that I'm not alone in terms of there are millions of people like me in the world, and there are thousands of people like me in my province, and there's probably a dozen, maybe 2 or 3 dozen people like me in the town I'm in. I've met 4 or 5 of them. We are around. If you have the privilege of passing, which I clearly don't have, you won't know that that person's trans unless they tell you. But if you don't have the privilege of passing, like me, you're going to stand out. And the trans agenda, per se, is what I labeled my other TikTok video. The trans agenda is education. We definitely want to educate your children on what trans is and how gender works. Even though it only affects, as far as we know, 1% of the population, really it affects 100% of the population. Because 100% of the population seems to care very much which bathroom I use. So, guess what? Transgender um, ideology affects you 100% if you care which bathroom I'm in. If you're worried about me being around your children, yeah, the transgender situation affects 100% of everybody, and it should be taught in schools. And it should be taught at appropriate age range levels, because people need to know. I was groomed into being trans the same way I was groomed into being right-handed. I just happen to be right-handed. Nobody made me. I just am. I just happen to have blue eyes. Now, I don't really have red hair. This is dye. Sue me. I don't feel bad about that. In fact, dyeing my hair is like a gender affirming care that I like. Um, anyway, that's the trans agenda, education. And yeah, we definitely want to educate children so they know what this is, so they're not confused. By the way, I tried when I was a child to tell adults what I was, and they just didn't believe me. Because I was a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old little boy, as they were concerned, telling them I was a girl, and they just thought I was being silly, and they just wrote it off as that and carried on. But I wasn't being silly. It's true you can't believe everything a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old says to you. Like, they might have some things a little bit wrong. But that one, I knew. I just didn't know how to make people believe me. And my life is a lot harder today than it needs to be. Because I couldn't be me as a child. I couldn't tell people and have them believe me. I couldn't do anything about it. Absolutely tell kids that transgender is a thing. It's real. And, you know, you have to take appropriate steps. Anyway, that's it. The trans agenda. Darci's Corner. Peace.